Do you ever think you should lower your expectations? Hey everybody, I'm Michelle Carre and welcome to Your Delicious Life, where each week we take a look at life from a different perspective and either learn something new or get reminded of something that we already knew. This week's episode is called Lowered Expectations. Really? Now, the reason this episode came about was because of a discussion that Matt and I were having. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but on Saturday Night Live, they used to have a skit, and it was called Lowered Expectations, and it had this fabulous intro music, and it was like, Lowered Expectations, or something like that. And I don't remember a lot of the skits, but I'll never forget that little jingle. You know, it's like juicy fruit. Once it's in your head, it stays there forever. So every now and then, I kind of get reminded of this skit that used to be on SNL. In fact, it might still be on. But Matt reminded me of it this past weekend. And he often will say to me, you know, Michelle, if you just lowered your expectations, life would be so much better. Wait, what? This doesn't make sense to me. Because I'm trying to live a fabulous life here, and I don't think lowering my expectations for that is the best approach. So I got to thinking about it, and I realized the problem with expectations is that they revolve around the future. And you can't control the future. So I thought, okay, well maybe, just maybe, Matt is onto something here. But I'm a list-making, goal-setting, getting shit done kind of gal. So it still feels really counterintuitive. Because how do you lower your expectations and still achieve your awesome goals? One of the things that got me was that I felt like lowering my expectations was lowering my standards. But that's not true at all. You see, a standard is a basis for comparison. It's an approved model according to the dictionary. So if you have a set of standards for how you want to be treated or what you need or want even to live the life that you envision for yourself, you can set those standards. There's nothing wrong with being clear about what it is that you will and won't accept. Those are standards, but they're not expectations. What about your goals? Well, expectations don't actually have anything to do with your goals either, because your goals are basically an equation of you putting in energy or time or effort to achieve a specific outcome. It's an in and out kind of equation. So you can control what kind of time and energy you're putting into something to achieve an outcome. But where we get caught up is the details along the way. Now, you guys know I'm all about setting a vision and creating a plan, but we have to make sure that those things stay in the ideas or the options category. They can't go into the set in stone expectation category, because that's when things start to go off the rails. I mean, really, you want to set the goal for the outcome that you're trying to achieve, but you want to be open to the journey it will take to achieve that particular goal. Lowering your expectations does not mean that you just roll over and let it go. It's in fact the opposite of that. Because when you are clear about your standards and you know what your goals are and why they matter to you, you have what you need. The problem happens when we start to try and figure out the details of how it's all going to happen, and then those details turn into expectations, and they're always things that we can't control. So think of it this way. I'll give you an example from this past weekend. Matt and I were planning to go out for dinner before we went to an event at our real estate company. And just as luck would have it, we were later leaving than we had expected to be. A couple of things came up along the way, and my idea of going for dinner beforehand and having some nice time to chat and a glass of wine and all that good stuff quickly became grabbing nachos at a meh kind of bar And I still got a glass of wine though. Don't worry, I got that in there. But it totally changed. And at first I was kind of bummed and annoyed about the whole thing because I thought, why don't we plan this better? But if I had stuck to my standards and my goals, I wouldn't have felt that frustration, because my standard is that I want to connect with my partner on a regular basis, and I want to have date nights so that we can stay connected with one another. And my goal was to use that night as an opportunity for us to do just that. Now, if I'd stayed right there, no big deal. But the problem was I got caught up in the details. I was picturing a steak. I was picturing a glass of red wine. I was picturing a nice environment. And when the environment became an okay bar and, the food was crappy at best, it felt like my expectations hadn't been met, and it was a letdown. But if I had not worried about any of those details at all and just focused on the goal, no problemo. So I want you to think about that this week. Where are the opportunities where you can lower your expectations? Not lower your standards and not dismiss your goals, but lower your expectation about how you're going to get there, and instead focus on what really matters and enjoy the journey there. Thanks everybody for watching. I can't wait to see you next week for the next episode.